Good morning, folks, and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own Money Whisperer, Judy Copenbarger. How are you?
I am fine. Good to see you, Carlos. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. And folks, if you're just joining us, apologize for a little bit of delay. We had some technical difficulties. You got it all squared away. And if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Make sure that you're following Judy at judycopenbarger.today. So we have a limited time. I want to make sure we jump right in this because we ran out of time in the last episode, and this is part two of understanding the importance of personal and family financial planning.
Mhm.
So, Judy, I'm going to start with asking you kind of do a review of three of the questions that we asked last time, which were why is financial planning important for individuals and families? How does financial planning differ between individuals and families? And also, what are the key components of a comprehensive personal financial plan? So a lot to throw at you to review, but I want to make sure that we cover everything we're doing today.
Yeah, well, really, financial planning is just to ensure you're going to get where you want to go, right? And it doesn't matter if it's an individual, if it's a family, if it's a small business, if it's a CEO group, a closely held business. It's just making sure that you are going to get where you want to go. And it's a matter of having common goals and charting the course. How are we going to get there? And the only difference between personal planning and a group planning, a family or a business planning, is who is involved in the decision making about the destination. What are our goals together, or what are my goals, for my future? That's the only difference. The key components, there's just, probably half a dozen things that you need to do. And it's one of those areas of life that is just so simple. So simple, not easy.
I was going to say, you mean not easy?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's simple. It's just do that. Like if we would all be totally fit and in, Olympic athletic condition, we know what to do. It's simple, right? Just eat right and do your training. Do we do it? Why not? Because it's just not so easy. It's a matter of priorities. And there are so many other things that can distract us in life to keep us from where we're going. And then there's mindset issues and all of that. But the key components are number one, pick the outcome that you want, really get clarity around some of those goals. Number two is pick your team. Who's going to help you get there? Is it people in your business? Is it people in your family? Do you need accountants? Do you need attorneys? Do you need insurance agents? Do you need financial managers, money managers, bankers, mortgage guys, loan guys? Who do you need on your team to make sure that you have a sustainable plan of action? Who are those people? And if you have the wrong people, you know it, right? Because it's not a fit and it just doesn't feel good. So replace them with people that will serve you well and work together as a team. The third thing you want to do is chart the course. Okay, now that we have clarity of the outcome, we know what the goals are. How are we going to get there? What tools do we need to use? How do we allocate the income? How do we allocate the investments? How are we going to get there? Prioritize those goals. And then number five, you got to take action. Take action, actually do it. Don't just pontificate or wait till it's perfect or it just feels just right. Just take action. You can always keep moving along with this a moving breathing plan that you have, right? You can always adjust it and you can always course correct, but you got to get moving or you'll be paralyzed with fear or concern, and you just won't ever be able to make tracks. And then the last thing is you want to course correct regularly. You got to revisit the plan because it will change. Some people get stressed out because it's not still the plan. It
Mhm.
is still the plan. You got to understand it needs to have flexibility because things in life don't always go exactly to plan. And you want to be able to adjust. So that's it. Choose the outcome, pick the team, chart the course, prioritize the goals, take action, and regularly course correct. That's all you got to do. So simple, right?
Yeah, exactly. Simple until we put it to play. But speaking of that, so one key thing that you brought up is keep moving, and I think that's important. And what happens,
Mhm.
I think, and I've seen, and I'm sure you can add a little bit to this, is also that when we get stuck or we reach that wall, it's like we're dead in the water. Like all of a sudden, it reminds me of the old. There was an old cartoon where all the ants are going by, and all of a sudden, they're going in a straight line. A leaf falls, and they freak out because now there's not a perfect line. Now they have to figure out a way to go around it. And I think that happens to a lot of us. You know. So,
Yeah.
what's one tip that you can give us about making sure that we keep momentum going and we just don't stop?
Well, it's just keeping that commitment to your goals. It's like in marriage, sometimes you want to give up. And as long as you both don't quit on the same day, you're going to be okay. It's a sustainable marriage. Financial planning is the same way. Training for any athletic event is the same way. There are some days where you just can't put one foot in front of the other. It's just not going to happen. But you just do the one step, the next step, the next step. So I think if your why is big enough, there's a lot of really great research out there on purposefulness and the why. If your why is big enough and the goals that you have complete this vision for what financial success is for you at your house, and that is your passion. That's what you wake up every day ready to do, then you'll get there. If your why isn't big enough, like if you don't have the mindset right, you grew up where, poverty equals humility. It's better not to have anything because it's too showy. God won't like it. You're supposed to stay humble. Whatever your beliefs are, you're not going to be able to outgrow those beliefs until your beliefs are adjusted. Yeah, you're always going to grow to the level that your mindset will allow. So there might be some work you want to do around that. What do I believe about wealth and prosperity and having money? Was I influenced? Of course you were. Was I influenced by my parents' beliefs or other adults, in my young life, mentors, other people that were around me? Was I influenced by those beliefs around money and ideas about money? And of course you were. So are there any of those beliefs that you'd like to revisit and replace that might serve you better? That's something to look at. And that could be a whole other course that we could talk about later, the mindset part. But I think when you get your mindset right and you're committed, your why is big enough and you're committed to your goals, and every day you're making choices in alignment with those goals, you're going to get there.
Awesome. And folks, if you're just joining us, welcome to the show. Welcome to Judy Copenbarger. Today, we are Money Truth Moments, and today we are discussing part 2 of understanding the importance of personal and family financial planning. So if you're just joining us for the first time, please make sure you follow Judy at judycopenbarger.today. With that said, Judy, let's move on to another question that came in. How can effective financial planning help individuals and families achieve, let's talk about long-term goals.
How can they affect you get there? You
Yeah.
getting there? Well,
How can it, yeah, how can we effectively get there? Planning.
yeah. Well, you're going to be efficient when you have those clarity of goals and you know exactly the vision. Here's the outcome that I want. By age 65, I want to have 5,000 a month income. On our 50th anniversary, we want to have $10,000 to take everybody to Hawaii for our anniversary, right? So when you have clarity of the goals, then you can work backwards. How much money do I need by when? Where do the dollars need to go? What are they doing? And when it's time to achieve the goal and they come out, where are they coming from? Right? That's just the basic planning. And you might have the capability to do that or the capacity to do that. You might need someone to help you with that. But that's all it is. It's working backwards from goals that are clearly defined. And then it's getting there as quickly and efficiently as possible. So if you need a certain kind of investment to have that outcome for that anniversary trip, you're going to earn 5% on this for 5 years, whatever it is, then you're going to achieve it. But if you're doing something crazy, like you're going and doing all that cyber stuff or Bitcoin or these speculative crazy things, or you're just sitting on gold, whatever, there's always something advertised. Those are kind of the trends right now. And if you're being reactive, not being proactive with your planning, you're going to end up making mistakes. And that's not the most efficient way to get there. It's not the most effective way to get there. You're going to end up off course. And now you've got to not only get back to where you were, but then make up time, fill the gap, and then go forward. And we've all had those experiences where there's an implosion financially. You have to kind of reboot. Maybe you had an investment that went wrong, or you had a insurance policy that cost a lot and you canceled it. And now you wasted all that money. Maybe you had a real estate investment, or a lot of folks, back in '08, the big perfect storm that we had financially in this country. And another one, might be brewing. We don't know. A lot of people over leverage it. It's like, wow, you can get free loans, get all this money and buy all these houses and not even have to be able to pay it back. And people over leveraged and then made mistakes and had to start all over. Know a lot of people that did that. They just got out ahead of themselves without fully capitalizing. So the idea is to be proactive, not reactive. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Just get on your plan and stay on your plan. Don't be greedy. Don't be needy, right? And the two ways that most people appeal to you in the marketing world, they're going to come at you with fear and they're going to come at you with greed. Those are the two big motivators that get us moving as human beings. So if you feel like you have any idea that you want to do, or investment you want to make, or financial decision you're about to make, if it's coming from a place of concern or fear, and you can check yourself for that, right? It's an internal thing. Or if it's coming from greed, watch out. The other day I had a pastor, 40 some year pastor, just about ready to retire. And he was sharing with me, I just, would like a little bit of advice. He was referred over just to say, here's what I'm doing. What do you think? And I told him, and I don't think we're going to talk again. But he said, 3 or 4 times through my lifetime, we've had these really great ideas sweep through the church, and I got involved, lost it all, had to start over, lost it all, had to start over. And of course, the whole church is doing is very divisive when things like that happen in the church. And it's very predatory. I don't like it when that happens. And so he said, but this one is different. This one is different. This is a really great guy living in another country. Okay, how are we going to sue him when it goes south? And he read me part of the contract, and he doesn't have anything. He just gets a statement from this guy every month. He's put his whole life savings in there again, and he thinks he's going to retire in the next year, and he thinks he's got close to $1 million. I said, well, why don't we cash out part of that right now? While you still have principal. And he says you have all these gains, but they're not in your name. So I think we ought to do. So I told him, take what you can and run. It's just classic. But is it greedy or needy? Maybe a little bit of each. Who knows? It's his journey. But I'm thinking this person, I think predator, has taken advantage of him and all these other people that he knows doing the same thing. Scheme. It is a scheme. And here he is in it. And it's like, how do you help someone like that? And I think at some point, I don't want to speak, ill will or speak, death to anybody, but at some point, I think he's going to wake up and not have what he thinks he has. And it's really going to impact the trajectory for the rest of his seasons, right? The rest of his life and his financial world. So how do you do that? It's like if we went back and we talked about it before he did it, we could talk about, is this coming from something that I really need? And is there another way to get there? Or is this coming from a little greed? Like, I could do better than everybody I know and not tell them about it. Right.
Mhm.
So anyway, he's at the point now where it's kind of like, wow, he said, I actually, now that you've said that, for a couple of months, I've had this pit in my stomach and I kind of don't want to know. And I said, well, you got to just, and if you've made a mistake, own it and let's move forward. But I'm not sure I'll hear from him again, but those things happen. And I always feel so bad for the industry too, because that doesn't represent financial professionals. But I hear these stories all the time of people that just, for the wrong reasons, make a decision. And then later, it costs them. So be careful out there.
And you've always said, if it's too good to be true, run the other way, right? Or ask, which
Yeah.
actually is a great segment into. And I know we're running a little bit behind on the show, but for somebody, we know that financial planning for personal financial planning, I should say, is easy. And I'm being sarcastic because I'm using those words, right? But for someone, how can someone get started, right, with their personal financing planning if they have limited knowledge or experience in this area? And kind of feeds into what you just said. You don't know what you don't know, and if you're the expert and you're telling me, hey, I'm going to make $1 million in the next 30 days, it's guaranteed. How do we even get started with, doing that planning?
Well, when you hear stuff like that, you put on your shoes, your running shoes. Just get away from that person. It's hard because you want to trust, and people are so slick. People that you hope are well-meaning, they always aren't. There's a conflict there. I don't know. I've had people say, how do I know when it's the right financial advisor, when it's the right planner, it's the right person that really isn't going to hurt me. They really, really do have the heart to help me. And I've always said, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you follow your gut. You try to get referrals or have experience with other people, that have had a good experience, and they'll share that with you. But I don't know. There are credentials you can look for. There's experience you can look for, track record. But we've seen these big, very public, collapses happen from people that had a good track record and a good education. So it's not always, what it seems. But I think most people kind of know, they can kind of check themselves for, am I needy or greedy? And if there's any urgency, it's like, okay, let's slow down, take our time, and look at other options. But it's a question that I've had over decades. People asking me, how do I know? How do I know one of those? And you don't. I don't know how you would know. You could look at my history and my education and my legal responsibilities, and talk to people that I've worked with and helped. But you really don't know me. You really don't know. So it's just a really tricky thing. I think you got to follow your gut. And like you said, if it feels too good, if it seems too good, take your time. There's one thing about financial decisions. There never, ever, ever should be a rush. There never should be urgency to hurry. Ground floor opportunity, it's going to go away. Only so many allowed, all of that. If there's any of that conversation, even if it's legal planning or tax planning, there's never a hurry. You always take your time. And if you're getting a sense of urgency from another person, there's probably some conflict of interest there. There's some transaction or commission or something on the other side for the other people. And it's not really about you. And you want to find a relationship with your financial advisors and your financial team where it's about you. Whether you pay for the services or they're offered, through asset management or whatever, you want to make sure that you're getting exactly delivered to you something that's clear and you understand, but it's a value for you. The cost is worth it, and they are for you. And sometimes that means you pay a fee rather than having someone, help you for free because they're getting a commission. You don't even know how much it is. Sometimes it's way more than you would think. But going fee only is a way to do it. Working with a certified financial planner might help. At least they're educated and they have the breadth of knowledge to not steer you in the wrong direction, and steer you toward a product. And then, you'd have a tax problem or something. They should know that. Working with fiduciaries can help you. There's the AIF designation that can help you find someone that by law has to give you the best advice and prove it when asked, and we do. That might be helpful. Did I answer your question? There's just so many things you can do, but mostly you got to follow your gut, right? And I think if you look for those things, you can avoid a lot of mistakes.
Absolutely. And folks, we're at the tail end of the show, so you know what that means. So today, I can't wait to hear what this challenge is going to be about.
Okay. So when you're putting your financial team together, there are some people on your team that help you grow your money, like investment advisors, your realtors, your business professionals, and some people help you protect your money. That's going to be your estate planning attorney, your business attorney, your insurance agents. So you're always growing and protecting your money at the same time. Like in a game, you do offensive and defensive at the same time. Your challenge is to identify where the gaps are on your team. What kind of coaching do you need? Do you need more defensive counsel in your game, or do you need more offensive counsel? Do you need more greenhouse or more garden going on? So wherever those gaps are, and maybe there's a little in both sides. And your challenge is to identify that and then fill the gap. Maybe you need to call somebody at HR or in payroll at your office and see, what kind of insurances they offer that you could do for very low premium. Maybe you need to have a conversation with your spouse about what we're going to do to save a little bit more for that goal coming up or that retirement one day. Maybe there's something we need to do about saving for kids or grandkids' education, or for them to have, soccer cleats or do mission trips or things like that. So whatever it is, offensive or defensive in your financial world, identify it and do something about it this week. That's your challenge.
Awesome, folks. And you heard the challenge. If you have any questions or any additional topics that you'd like for Judy to cover on the show, please make sure you send us a message on there. And if you're not following Judy, please make sure that you are following her at judycopenbarger.today. Judy, I have to say, so we covered part one, part two, but I still feel like there's quite a bit that we need to deep dive into. So how do you feel about doing a part three on this series for next week?
I think there's no other way. There's just so much to cover, and I want everybody to have all the tools and resources they need. So let's go part three, easy for you to say. Part three, right. Next episode, we'll make sure we do a deep dive on that. I'll be ready.
Folks. Awesome. So remember, tune in every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Tomorrow. Here we go again, right? It's too easy. Next week, we are going to be covering part three of understanding the importance of personal and family financial planning. Please make sure that you share that the stream with folks to make sure that they join in as well too. And remember, every Tuesday 8 a.m. replays on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Any last parting words, Judy?
Make it a great week. You got this.
All right, take care, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.